Are you feeling stuck in your business or career or burnt out and unsure of what's next? If that's you, it's time for a reinvention. Join me for the Reinvention Brainstorm Session, a free 90-minute hot seat and workshop designed to unlock your next level vision, identify your true zone of genius, and map out your next big move. We have a couple of live dates available. I want to be crystal clear that this is not a masterclass. It's a live activation, plus 2 lucky attendees are going to get hot seat coaching. Plus, I'm bringing in some really powerful special guests who are going to be calling in your reinvention as well. I don't want to spill the beans, but this is an activation that is designed for transformation. And you are going to love it, especially if you've been asking yourself, what's next? I'll have a link in the show notes, but you can also head on over to tracymatthews.com/reinvention brainstorm and save your spot today. All right, I'll see you there. Welcome to the show. Hey there, it's Tracy Matthews. I am so excited to be here today talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I have a question for you. What if the challenges you're experiencing right now aren't roadblocks, but signs that expansion for you and your business is right around the corner? Now, this is something that I've been noodling with for a while. Why did I say noodling? I've never even said that word before, but there we go. It's something I've been playing around with because I can see how so many business owners are feeling the struggle. They're feeling the tension, the push. And because of this energy around like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to blow up. I'm ready to get bigger. I am ready to move in this new direction. I'm ready to take the step. But life, the universe, the energy in, the collective is feeling like a little bit crunchy right now. And I asked a question in one of my DM chats, and I asked just this prompt, like, what feels heavy right now? And one of the women who responded says, it feels really heavy that my friends and family aren't following me along for the ride. Another person said, it feels really heavy when the sales aren't rolling in like they used to. It feels really heavy when marketing and everything changes all the time. It feels really heavy because I'm not sure if I really like this business I built anymore. I'm not really sure if it's aligned with me. And so this is something that I really want to dive into today because I just came back from Lindsay Schwartz's Expanders Retreat, and this idea of expansion, which to me is just another word for reinvention, because when you reinvent yourself, you're expanding, you're stepping into a new paradigm, you're stepping into a new version of you. So whether you're stepping into a jewelry business for the first time, whether you're stepping out of your jewelry business into something else, whether you are stepping into just a bigger audience of what it is that you want to create. Expansion, if you think about gaining weight, expansion feels very uncomfortable. Like your clothes don't fit, it feels hard, you don't have the same kind of energy that you used to, or maybe things that used to come easy aren't as easy anymore. You're tested, all the things, right? You might even be feeling a little bit bored and uncertain about how to get back to a place of feeling ignited and excited and challenged in a good way by your business, right? And so I wanted to talk about this today because during the Expanders Retreat and during this conversation that I've been having for months now about reinvention, rebranding, and stepping into this new paradigm for this company, Flourish and Thrive Academy, for my evolution as a creative entrepreneur, for you as people who follow me and listen to this podcast and are ready to step into your next level, whatever that looks like for you, whether it's more sales in your jewelry business, whether it's expansion in another way, you can still grow even when times are tough. And what I want to share with you is because personal and business expansion requires you to step into a new version of yourself. You are required to become someone you are not today. And so this isn't a really important lesson because when you are required to step into something that is beyond who you are today, there is a lot of unknown. And it's so exciting, right? Because we get to design who this person is. I'm going to share a little bit more about that later. And then later in the episode, I'm going to share a little bit more about what I gained from the Expanders Retreat, some of the key takeaways, and especially this one exercise that Lindsay put us through and how this really will apply to you in real world business. Plus, I'm going to share a little bit more about my quantum leap that I'm in the middle of right now. And I'm so excited about it. I can't wait. And I'm going to tell you, it's getting way messier before it's getting easier. And that's just part of the process. So I'll share more about that later. So here's why this matters. Okay, there is a collective right now amongst a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, just in general. There's a malaise, or there's something going on that people are feeling not as aligned or in flow or excited about things as they used to. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, my reasoning for this is that we are in a huge collective upgrade. And during a huge collective upgrade, the negative energy, we have to basically pull and extract all the negative energy, all the things that aren't working for us and for society. They get highlighted and brought to the surface, which can become very stressful. We've seen that in the world that's happening right now. So that the people who are meant to rise up and step into their full brilliance and get back into alignment with their source and their energy and their higher self and be operating from this higher place, right? Can lift up. But in any sort of mythology, you hear this, like Phoenix rising. The Phoenix has to burn down in order for it to rise up, right? We see this with the lotus flower. Like the lotus flower literally drudges in the mud for a while before it becomes this beautiful flower on an icky pond, right? And so these analogies are there for a reason. And there's a reason. A butterfly turns to mush before it turns into a beautiful butterfly, or the caterpillar turns to mush before it turns into a beautiful butterfly. And so this rite of passage is a normal part of your expansion or reinvention. And I'm sharing this with you today because I want you to know that if things feel tough for you, if you're not sure what's next, if your family is resisting your urge to grow, if you're stressed and concerned that things maybe won't work out in the way that you'd hope, right? I want to remind you that being a business owner, it requires you to go through seasons in your business. There's always going to be ups and downs. And the one thing that I hope that you always get from me is that I'm always willing to share with you the real story. I'm not here to sugarcoat it, because running a business is hard. And quite frankly, I have been faced with all of my worst fears over the last 6 months. And it feels sometimes like some of them are coming true, even when I'm in the spot of not knowing what's next, right? I mean, I know what's next, but not knowing what the outcome is going to be, because all we can control in our process of expansion is the actions that we take, is how we reframe our mindset, is how we reprogram our subconscious mind, and how we step into the next level of what it is that we are trying to create. So I mentioned that because the challenge I think that a lot of people experience is that they feel like, oh, when I'm doing a quantum leap or when I'm expanding and all these things, it's just going to be easy. And it's just not the case. And part of that is that it's going to require you to become a different person. On the other side of this, if you're feeling this, you are not going to be the same, which is so awesome, right? Now, I want to just talk a little bit more about understanding this expansion process in the way that Lindsay Schwartz explained it to us. But I think that this is a pretty universal truth of how expansion works, right? We have a desire. Now, I talk a lot about desire on this podcast because I wrote a book called The Desired Brand Effect. If you're a jewelry business owner, make sure that you pick it up. It's available on audio if you'd like to listen to it. Also available on Amazon on paperback. And also, I think it's actually available anywhere you want to buy it now. So all the bookstores, it's available at the major bookstores online. Anyway, so these key insights, it starts with desire, right? And this is really about you recognizing what you truly want, what feels in alignment, and how you become available and ready to call that desire in and pursue it, right? So desire, that longing, that craving, that yearn for something different is the catalyst that starts to move you forward to a better life, to better opportunities, to more growth. Now, one of the things that can happen when you're in this stage of having a desire for more, you're going to see things shift in your life a lot, right? So when we think about desire could be a desire for your business. It could be a desire for your relationships. It could be a desire for your personal wealth and your growth. It could be a desire for just about anything. And that desire is kind of where these goals and these intentions get set into the ethers or into the universal energy, right? Also, you can write them down on paper. That's the best thing to do if you have business goals, because you definitely want to set that for yourself. So I was in a mastermind retreat, and this dates back a little bit earlier. So last May, I hosted a retreat called the Creative Force of Nature Retreat, and I had 10 women there. It was amazing. And at the end of it, the women asked to give me a hot seat, which is not something I normally would do at one of my retreats, because I'm the host and I'm here to support the other people, not here for them to support me. But because this was such an intimate group, I said yes, and we went through this process. And in that hot seat, my true desire came out of how I felt like I was playing small and where I felt like I needed to go to live my fully expressed life. And it created a huge conflict within me because of the sense of obligation I had towards my existing businesses and where I was at that point in my life. And so that the desire, and I've shared it here on the podcast, is that I have a mission to show people and teach people, whether they're young adults, young teenagers, or even adults in their life. My mission here is to share with people how creativity and being in a state of flow, because you are so aligned with your natural gifts and talents, is the most powerful and impactful place that you can ever be. And so I really want to share my story of how, I became diagnosed with dyslexia as an adult, and how my creative journey and path into getting into alignment with what my creative gifts were, and understanding that I was going to live a life in alignment with my creativity. And that to me was going to lead me on a path of impact, of wealth, and of meaning. And that mission that is now coming back, it's come back so many times during all these evolutions and expansion periods in my life. That evolution is really important for you to step into your next level by understanding what it is that you desire, right? What do you truly want for yourself? And I think sometimes there's a lot of shame in that, of people playing small because they're like, who am I to deserve that? Who am I to think I can do that? Who am I to think I can launch an event with 1,000 people there, right? Who am I to want to have a stage where I am, one of the most impactful speakers here on this earth and have a sold out TED Talk? Like, who am I to think that? But that is my true desire. That's what I want. And if I don't even try to do that, I will always have an unrequited desire that wasn't fulfilled, because who knows if those things will happen? I don't know. But what I do know is that if I don't try, I will always regret it. And Jason says this to me. No one ever sits around on their deathbed saying, oh, I wish I would have worked harder, or I wish I would have done that boring job that I hated for so long, or, oh, I wish I would have spent more time, doing something I wasn't in alignment with because I wanted to feel safe. What they talk about on their deathbed and when they're older is like, I wish I would have stepped into that dream that I wanted. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have spent more time with my friends and family. I wish I would have, followed my passion. The regrets are always the things that they didn't do that they wanted to do, that they had a desire to do. It's not that they just kept working hard on something that was unfulfilling. It's that they didn't do the thing that they said they wanted to do. And so when my mom died, I've been talking about this on every episode, I knew that I had to live a life in alignment with that passion, with my soul's purpose here, right? And it's changed many times. And so it starts with desire, your expansion, your reinvention. Tonight, when you go home, or tomorrow morning, whenever you're writing in your journal, I want you to write down, what is it that I desire? And I want you to go. This is like, if you've ever been on one of my masterclasses, we talk about creating a big vision. And if you are someone who wants my help in creating a big vision, I'm doing an amazing visioning class called the Reinvention Brainstorm Sesh. I highly recommend that you show up. If you're in a season of pivoting or wanting to expand beyond where you currently are, this is going to be brilliant for you. We're going to dream so big. And you're also going to see a little bit more about the cost of not taking action and what happens when you don't do that. And I have some really inspiring stories of people who did step into it, and also people I'm going to share highlight what happens when you don't do that, because it's tricky. Like, things start to fall apart when you're not in your authenticity and following the thing that you know that you need to do and following that desire that you have. Second step to expanding, or reinvention, as I like to call it in Lindsay's terms, is dissatisfaction. And this is you being dissatisfied with your current reality, with situations, maybe certain relationships. Maybe this is also having dissatisfaction around what's happening in your business right now, right? Or dissatisfaction around the people who aren't supporting you. And when you're in dissatisfaction and feeling like not aligned, this is where you start to feel the need for growth. This is where it fuels your growth so hard, because being dissatisfied and stepping into this space of feeling like this is not me, this is not what I want, this is not the future of me, is the place where you are going to find the gold nuggets. Like, where am I out of alignment with who I'm supposed to be? Where am I out of alignment with what I want? Where am I out of alignment with my desires? Where am I out of alignment with this true version of me that is meant to rise and shine and step up into the next place, right? And so dissatisfaction can be huge. So the next step of this is identifying, like, where are you unhappy? Where are you dissatisfied in your life? Where are you dissatisfied in your career? What is not working with you? And dissatisfaction can be just a quiet little note, like, I wish I had more sales, or I wish my business was scaling faster, or I wish that I had the courage to go step in to do this thing, but I'm not doing it. Why is that? Or I'm dissatisfied with how I'm showing up for myself and my business. I'm dissatisfied about how things are showing up for me. Now, I mentioned that because that dissatisfaction is the thing that fuels your needs for growth, as I mentioned earlier. So I want you to write down, where are you dissatisfied and what is out of alignment with you to get to your full expansion. And I want to mention this too, because it's funny. At this retreat, several of the women were going through divorces. They're in this process of shedding. And I'm not like highlighting that that's an important thing to do, whether it's good or bad. You can judge that. The point of me sharing this is that sometimes, and this happened to me, when I started expanding and stepping into my brilliance, the relationship that I was in with my ex-husband actually fell apart. He could not handle this bigger capacity for me and the trajectory that I was on. And then when it became very clear that we weren't on the same path, it made no sense for us to stay together anymore, because he wasn't on the rocket ship that I was on. He didn't want any of that, right? And my life ended up looking very different than I thought it would. But then years later, I still got the relationship that I desired, this growth-oriented human being in Jason, and this expansion for what I know is the soul partnership that I'm meant to be with for a very long time. And obviously we can't predict the future, but this is my desire. And this is what I truly want, is to have this continued blossoming relationship with Jason that has just been such a mirror and a gift to me in so many ways. It's been my biggest, beyond entrepreneurship, my biggest personal development tool. And it's been amazing. And so I just love it so much. Now, first, desire, and then dissatisfaction. Like, where are you dissatisfied in your life? And the third step is stepping into certainty. And my understanding of certainty, and the way that Lindsay explained it, is that for you to have certainty, you just have to decide what it is that you want. And that certainty comes from just knowing that whatever is meant on the other side of you, not the specific outcome, but whatever is meant on the other side of you is meant for you. And so this is all about you gaining clarity and stepping into that certain next step, because all you can do to create certainty for yourself is to step one foot forward at a time and keep moving forward. So setting intentions, setting goals, setting your quantum leaps, very important, but also being realistic in this process and knowing that, this is what I desire, and so it is. It's for me. But also doing the work to understand, okay, what version of me needs to go if I want to step into this next best version of myself. So I want to share a story of how and highlight how this works in real life. So there was a time in my life many years ago, or many times that I've been dissatisfied and having a desire. So when I closed my first business, I was kind of flailing around a little bit, trying to figure out what to do. Since I was a little girl, though, I knew that I was meant to be on a stage. And what I mean by that is I was put here to help people. And even though the first vehicle for helping people was designing beautiful jewelry and adding value in their lives and having that business for 11 years and making an impact that way, I knew that my impact was something bigger. And so it made perfect sense that when I was 30 years old, I dove right in to going into yoga teacher training and I became a yoga teacher. So I had this desire to serve and help people, which became a platform for so many other things further down the road. So let me explain how this worked. My ex-husband Mike and I got divorced. I'm going to leave the details about that a little bit behind, but I'll just give you a high level. Like, I was outgrowing the relationship. He was going on a different path. He ended up having an affair. And so I don't usually talk about that because I'm not here to like slander him, but that was a really challenging time for me. And we both started doing yoga together. And inevitably, both of us became yoga teachers like right at the same time. So I was doing a lot of yoga to get through that period. And my teacher, Clayton, came up to me one day after class and he says, Tracy, I think that you would be a really good teacher. Like, your practice is insane. And I just think that you should consider this. And he was hosting a teacher training. And I'm like, you know what? I really want to deepen my understanding of yoga. I'm not certain because I'm really busy with my business that I want to step into that next phase. But all these things, this desire I had to find a deeper connection to myself, to step onto a stage to impact more people, started by this desire to know myself better and learn more about how I can navigate energy and curate a room of yoga teachers. So when he asked me to teach a class for him, I said yes. And I realized that I had this gift of being able to enroll people and get people excited about whatever it was. And so I say enroll people because one of my favorite things to do is to be on lives, to talk to people, to support people, to help them grow, to do this podcast, to share my experiences, right? And so that expansion, that desire to become a yoga teacher because I wanted to be making an impact on a bigger stage was the seedling of the next step. So the dissatisfaction in that desire was that I was feeling uncomfortable with who I was. I was going through a really hard time and I was leaning into this offering to help heal myself and also to just see what I could do from it and with it, right? And so then that desire came into certainty. So once I was kind of like taking the steps and moving forward towards this desire, things became much clearer. And I was like, oh yes, I am meant to teach yoga. I don't know how I'm going to navigate this when I'm traveling to New York all the time, living in San Francisco. Let's figure out how I can do this. Let's see how I can do this. And so eventually that opportunity to speak to a room of 5 people, then a room of 30 people, then a room of 40 people, getting jobs at bigger gyms, getting jobs at different yoga studios and all the things, ended up being a platform of me understanding how to speak and curate groups of people and energy in a room to help create an impact and a transformation. And that later led to me, obviously, starting Flourish and Thrive Academy and becoming, a thought leader in my own right. And so I just want to show you that that's not necessarily a quantum leap of moving faster. That's the course of the period over a certain period of time. But it all starts with you having a desire, having a goal, having something that you crave, digging deep into the things that you feel dissatisfied around that, like where is that dissatisfaction coming in? And then coming out the other side of that being a place of certainty because you're taking the actions and then the reality that you desire becomes your real life. That's the whole process of this. But here's the thing. You stepping in to this desire and having the certainty and moving forward and all these things is amazing. What it will require you to do is to release the old version of you. And I hate to put it that way, but that is a non-negotiable because who you are on the other side of this experience is someone who is going to be so different. So when you step into your expanded state, you have no choice but to shed the old version of you. And when you are shedding the old version of you, it is inevitable that things that are no longer serving you are going to fall away. Sometimes that means outgrowing relationships. Sometimes that means your old mindset, which is amazing. Sometimes that means old business strategies that no longer align, even a business that doesn't fit you anymore in the way that it's been operating. It requires you to level up. And when I look at this, I'm just closing my eyes right now and I'm imagining like my next level. I just see all these old paradigms kind of shifting away, and the belief that like anything that I want is possible. Like having a business that's generating multiple millions a year is possible. And this is what I desire. Having the impact of speaking on all these stages and impacting young children and young adults, like to me, feels like my mission and impact. Seeing myself on a stage, the person who's there speaking in front of 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 people and creating a movement around creativity feels so aligned, right? But the person that's sitting here today is not the same person that is standing on that stage speaking to 10,000 people and getting paid $50,000 for a speaking gig, right? And so my process in this expansion is like, okay, if I step into that identity and just knowing that what I desire is here and I'm here for it, then there's certainty there, right? And so one of the things that comes up when you're in this expanded state is you get a lot of fear because people will judge you. They're not sure about who you are. They might feel you might feel misunderstood, or like people don't really understand why you're in this transition. I know for sure for me, my brothers have been giving me a really hard time with all of this. They're like, "What?" And a lot of people have. Why are you making a shift in certain things when something was working really well? It's because I can no longer be the person that I once was. And the exciting thing for everyone listening to this podcast who's been a fan of mine for a while and has been showing up even in this period of transition, what is coming is so much better for you. For me, I am so excited about it. It's so expansive. It feels so light and energizing. And it is exactly what both of us need, with all of us listening to need. Because my mission and impact is to show you how to create wealth, impact, and income with your creativity and having more fun doing it along the way. More on that later. We're going to be making some announcements at some point. Anyway, so this is where it becomes really evident that you need a new support system, because if you don't have a strong support system, especially if you're up for big things and you're here for really expansive next steps, then you are going to have a really freaking hard time. You're going to have a very hard time because it's going to be challenging to not have people who understand what you're going through in the same boat with you. Now, it was quite amazing to be in these conversations with these women at Lindsay's retreat, because when you are going through something really hard and challenging and you're up leveling, you feel like no one understands what you're going through. And there's a little bit of an embarrassment there. And I had to have this hard conversation and admit to all these women there about what I was going through in that moment. And then as I was sharing my story, so many of them were like, oh my God, I'm there too. And oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed that I'm there too. I'm there too. I'm there too. And it was like, there's like unity in that. And it's not that we're cheering each other on for being in a tough spot, but it's just part of the process. Because if you're here to make an impact with your jewelry or your art or your movement, your ideas, whatever it is, your mission beyond your business. I don't know why, Wendy Hively, if you're listening to this, you just popped into my mind. But when I think of someone who really went all in on her jewelry business, she has a full-time job. She works a government job, full-time job, but she comes from a military family, and her impact was to support military families, built a 6-figure side hustle. Now her daughter's running her business with her to support and impact and give back to military families. That's what her whole brand of business was about. She kept going even when it was hard, even when people told her not to do it, because she was so mission focused and driven. And that's the important part of this. So when you are in alignment and you are here to step into that brilliance, when you release the things that are holding you back and you actually have the courage to address the nasty demon in your head, that subconscious mind that wants to keep you small, then you are in such a better place, because you're meant for something so much bigger. And you're making space for what is meant for you. You're making space for what is meant for you. Whew. So let's give some practical tips on how you can do this. So number one, if you want to shift beyond your current reality and you're ready to make that shift and you're really ready to expand or reinvent yourself, well, first, join me for the Reinvention Brainstorm session or the Art of Reinvention program because I'm here to hold the container for you, boo. This is a higher level container, meaning it is a bigger investment than some of my other programs, but it's still affordable in my opinion. You get to work in close proximity with me throughout the process. And this is an action doing certainty program, meaning we are going to get stuff done and I'm holding you accountable to do the work. No excuses, right? So if you want to expand beyond your current reality, the first thing that you need to do is shift your environment. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to grow. Shift your environment and get in those rooms, get in my program, find another program if it's not with me. Just do that. You need to be in the room with people who've already done, who are doing big things so that you can be inspired by them. Next, you need to upgrade your mindset. This is all about you need to stop operating from your past limitations and start thinking like the person that you want to become. Who is that person? How do they think? What are the challenges that they have? What are the opportunities that they have because they're in a different spot, right? What is that? How is that person showing up? So if you can step into that identity now and feel the energy and the feelings around that, what would it feel like to be there now? What would it feel like to be there now? And then the third step to this is that you must take aligned action. You have to step in to taking the steps that are necessary for you to build that certainty because certainty comes through action. It's not about waiting. It's not about making, baby steps. It's about making bold moves and having the courage to step forward into this. So this can come into your expansion period for your business in a lot of different ways. So I want to share this. If you're feeling like you're in a state of expansion or reinvention, whatever you want to call it, I kind of think of them as the same thing. That expansion period is really important for you to take a step back because you have to start clarifying, okay, what's going on for me right now? What is my vision for what's next? How am I utilizing my best talents to get there? Those things that feel so easy. And then how do I turn that by creating that vision into something that can be sold and bring people along that brand journey with me, right? How do I share this experience and communicate it so people understand and they rally behind you instead of neg you or tell you that you're silly for wanting these dreams, right? And then how do you cultivate that process and gain visibility for yourself and have a launch plan to move forward and get ready for what's next? Because this big expansion you're going through, I feel you. I can feel your energy right now. I feel like I'm channeling all of you who are in this state right now. This is for you. So if you want to learn more about how to dive deep into my reinvention strategy and process and you want to work with me, shoot me a DM on Instagram at I am Tracy Matthews. You can also email my team. We'd be happy to share with you. But I really want to encourage you that whatever phase you're in, or if you know someone who's in a season of expansion and they're ready for that next step, introduce them to me. I would love to support them. We already have the program a quarter of the way full, and I'm very excited about that. I'm so excited to see who else joins this program. We haven't even really opened the cart or doors yet. And if you want to just learn more about what it's all about, join me for the Reinvention Brainstorm session. During this, we're going to help you get reignited and realigned with the things that really light you up, especially if you're feeling burnout in your business. And then we're going to move through that process of creating a vision for what's next. And I'm so excited for you because this is going to be game changing. Game freaking changing. So what is the one thing that you need to let go of to step into your expanded state or to step into your next level expansion? Thanks so much for listening to the show today. I would love to invite you to subscribe to our channel, click that little notification bell, and share with me your biggest takeaway from this episode. And if you want to learn more about the art of reinvention, head on over to tracymatthews.com/art of reinvention. Ciao for now. Hey, thank you so much for joining me for the show today. I wanted to record this little outro because I know after speaking with so many people that many of you are just feeling this call for something more. And I would love to invite you to something that is very near and dear to my heart that I'm so excited about. It is called the Reinvention Brainstorm Workshop. And basically, you're going to dive in and we're going to be starting to facilitate what's next for you. Now, during this 90-minute session, we're going to help you gain some clarity, unlock how you can position your genius with premium opportunities, and take action without second guessing yourself. And I know that that's a huge thing right now. So you don't have to stay stuck. In fact, the cost of staying stuck is way too high. The best part about this is we're going to be moving into action after this call. So we'll be doing an activation on the call. You'll have an opportunity to throw your name in the ring for a hot seat. And on top of that, you'll also have the opportunity to get coached by my special guest who's going to be participating in my Art of Reinvention program. So sign up for this free workshop. Head on over to tracymatthews.com/reinvention brainstorm and save your seat today. I'm so excited to see you there.